I met him 2 years ago. Actually, a little bit more than 2 years ago, but it happened 2 years ago. I was 20 years old and I trusted him. I'm pretty lucky in that story, and you'll learn why while watching this video. I still feel like I need to talk about it and that people need to be aware of it. Just now I'm saying that it's something that is happening way more often than we think it is. I was working in a restaurant, and like every day I was going to work, and that day I started a new position at work. And basically what I was doing is I was making sure that every plate was ready before leaving the kitchen. Of course, since I was working with the waitress, the waiters, the managers, and the cooks, I started to talk to a lot of people. And I started talking to him. While talking to each other, I learned that he was a big gamer and a programmer. And if you don't know, I'm a huge gamer, I'm a huge geek, love everything about video games. Since we are both playing video games, we decided that we could play video games together and that would be something interesting. So one day I went to his house and we played video games together. We had a lot of fun and it was great. So we decided that it could be a possibility to play video games together more often, and it didn't take too long before we started seeing each other, well, outside of work and outside of video games. So we were just spending time with each other. We were going out, having barbecues and stuff like that, and it was real great. But didn't take too long before he told me that he was having feelings for me. The thing is, the feelings were not mutual, so I told him that I was not in love with him, but I still wanted to be his friend. So we kept seeing each other as friends, and we also kept doing stuff with his friend and people from work, so it was really great. Things started to get weird, and at first I didn't really notice it, but now that I think of it, it was really weird because well, first of all, since my feelings were not mutual, he started to give me deadlines. So he was saying to me stuff like, I'm leaving for this show in 2 weeks and I want you to know if you love me. So when he was saying stuff like that to me, I told him every single time, I'm not having any feelings for you. So if you're just spending time with me so I can fall in love with you, like, let's just stop it right here, because it's not happening. After I think like 2 or 3 times, he stopped talking about his deadline and everything was back to normal, so we could still enjoy playing video games together and eating together. A few weeks later, I noticed that people were calling me his girlfriend, and I didn't like that because we were not a couple, and I've always been clear to him that I was not seeking a relationship and that I was not in love with him. One day I told him that maybe it would be better for both of us if we were just not seeing each other for a while because of what was happening. And of course, he was not really happy to hear me say that. That same night, we were supposed to go to the bar with our friends from work. At first, I was not sure if I wanted to go, but you know what? They're still my friends, so I just wanted to have a great time with them, and I thought that we could just sit apart from each other and everything would be great. But I think maybe 1 hour after we arrived to the bar, that guy left. He was drunk when he left. He left for, I think, 2 hours at least. So we were searching for him. And of course, since we had that talk, I thought that everything was my fault, that maybe he was injured, maybe he was sick somewhere, maybe he needed help, and I thought that he disappeared because of what I said, so I thought that it was my fault. I started to cry because I was getting worried, because I really thought that it was legit my fault. Anyways, we found him, everything was alright. And when we were finally alone to talk a little bit, he asked me out. And at that time, I realized that words were not getting to him. Like, he was not understanding what I was telling him. But he did started to be a little bit more distant towards me, so we kept saying each other's, because I was like, oh well, he's finally accepting it, he's finally like learning it and stuff like that. I don't want to talk about the whole story, but the first time that guy tried to kiss me, I told him I didn't want to, and he told me that it was okay, that he would wait for me. But one day he had enough. He got tired of waiting, and when he tried to kiss me again and I tried to avoid it, he just forced me to do it. And again, it was just a kiss. There's nothing there, right? Well, no. No matter what the gesture is, if one of the two people doesn't want to do it, then you don't do it. So he forced me to kiss him, and when he was done, he just told me, once you've done it, it's not that bad, right? That day finally arrived. It was a day where we planned to play video games together, so he came to my house and I turned on the PS4 and we started playing The Last of Us. Well, I started playing The Last of Us because he just wanted to be here and watch me play, so that's what we did. I started to feel his hand on my knees, so I told him to stop touching me because I absolutely hate being touched on my knees. So I told him to stop because it was not funny and I was not enjoying it at all. So he stopped. Then he started touching my belly and trying to grab my hips and stuff like that. So I told him to stop touching me because I didn't want him to touch me. He told me, I can't touch your knees, I can't touch your belly. If I want to touch you, I'm going to touch you. And if you don't tell me where I can touch you, I'm going to decide where I touch you. First, I was really surprised about it because even though we went through some stuff, I still had trust in him. So it really surprised me. I looked at him because I was so pissed about what he just told me, and it's at that time that he grabbed me by the end and he put one of my hand on top of my head like that, and he pushed me on the sofa where we were sitting. He started to get on top of me, and with his other hand he just grabbed my thighs and tried to separate them because I was fighting. Like, what were you expecting me to do? You just grabbed me, like you pushed me on my back on the sofa, and now you're trying to spread my legs. Like, how am I supposed to, what am I supposed to think about it? Like, so I, with my other free hand, I started to hit him, and I was trying to get him to stop, but he was like, I don't know, maybe 20 centimeters taller than me, and he was for sure stronger than me. So he just took my other hand, put it with the other one right on top of my head, and even if I was still fighting it, I couldn't do anything because, like I said, he was stronger than me. And he finally was able to spread my legs, and he laid on me, he laid on top of me. And at this point I was still wearing my clothes, and I was looking at him, he was looking at me, and he just told me, "What do you think I'm about to do to you?" I didn't answer, and I just kept looking at him with anger and hate in my eyes. He stayed there for like 1 minute maybe, but it felt like forever. Honestly, that was the longest minute in my life, and it just stopped right there. He removed his hand from my tights, and he just stopped everything he was doing. So, and yeah, he just stopped and did like nothing happened. It happened in my own house while I was alone with him, and I trusted him. I'm really lucky because I didn't actually get raped that day. I was sure 100% that it was going to happen. After that day, I decided that I didn't want to see him anymore, but I kept it for myself because since nothing happened, I thought that maybe I imagined all of it, and I didn't want to talk about it because I don't know why, but somehow I felt ashamed. Later, when people started to realize that I was not spending time with him or anything like it, and that I just cut all my bonds with him, people started to ask what happened. And when I told them, I don't know what hurts the most, like what he did to me or the answers I got. People told me, "You're 20 years old and he's 27 years old and you're still a virgin, so it's to be expected that he wants to do sexual stuff with you." And that hurt me so bad. Basically what I was told, that since I was a virgin, it was to be expected that people would want to have sex with me with or without my consent. Basically what I've been told that day. It doesn't matter what I want. What matters is what he wants. Like I said, I'm very lucky because nothing happened to me that day. I was home alone and he could have done anything with me. And even if nothing happened, he hurt me, and going to have to live with those scars all my life. The last time I talked with him, I remember that he didn't know what he did wrong. So for him, I'm just a girl who pushed him away. people are always trying to blame you for what happened. And I think that this is something that has to change. It has to change. Like I said, I was super lucky and I was actually not raped that day. I was this close to be, but I wasn't. But many others have not that chance. I've been marked for life, for sure. But it's nothing compared to what a lot of people are dealing with. My story is real, and I will never forget what happened to me. And no matter what people think, no matter what people might say, I'll always remember it, and it doesn't make my story less real.